Hello, hello, hi there.
Hi guys.
What's up, you guys? How's it going? What's poppin'? What's good?
It's Stefurak show and it's the Stefurak family. Welcome.
Wow. Very short. My name is Andrew and this is Ola. And today we're gonna talk about fluent English. How one can become fluent in English and how you can speak English fluently if you are not an English speaker.
Yeah.
So if you're an American, you shouldn't watch that. Or if you're any kind of English speaker, you shouldn't watch it. But you might as well, because maybe you want to teach somebody English.
Yeah, and from that perspective, it will be easier for you.
Okay.
So we started learning English many years ago.
Yeah,
And
also
we have been teaching English for almost 3 years now.
yeah, and also we have written a book called Fluent English, and we're gonna go through the plan of this book.
Yeah. So usually everything starts from the history of everyone,
Yeah,
right? So I know that you love talking about
Love it.
history.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so you're
my-
welcome to do that.
yeah, thank you. So my story is very typical for Ukrainians. Now, when we go to school, we usually learn English. We'll learn English using books and more books, and that's it. And then once a week, maybe if you're lucky, your teacher brings you this old CD player. Well, I mean, I used to have that. Now it's probably a laptop or something like this. And you listen to a little bit of English. So you hardly ever listen to English. You usually read or write.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem. But the biggest problem is that we only invest 40 minutes a week to learn English. And it's just a subject at school. It's not a way of communicating. It's not an opportunity to change your life or something. It's just, it's just 40 minutes a week. That's it. And it's the biggest problem for most of us. And I'm guessing that if you didn't learn English, if you're an English speaker, if you probably learned Spanish or French or something like that. And you know what I mean, because you only spent 40 minutes a week or something like that.
Yeah, so our approach is really universal. It's not like for English, it's for any...
Maybe it should be how to reach
foreign
fluency in any language.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's mostly in English.
Okay, so I think that this story will have this unhappy end, not happy end, if
Unhappy, really?
it would have, but we have this approach, really
Okay.
great approach. And our stories are with happy ends because we just found this recipe. And it's called golden rule, right?
Yeah.
Should we say our golden rule right now?
Not yet.
Why not?
Wait till the middle of the episode. Because, not just yet, because we have, where's your phone, by the way?
I don't
Where's
have
the plan?
I don't have it. So we just have to
I'm the man with a plan. I know what we should talk about. So the next thing is called why you are never going to learn English.
So you are never going to learn English because you are learning English. It's, as Andrew mentioned, some specific methods like writing, reading,
40 minutes a week.
learning by heart, 40 minutes by
40
a
minutes
week.
a week.
And you have this limit, time limit, effort limit.
An attitude.
Attitude is
you look
different.
at it as it's a subject. It's
Yeah,
something
so
to
you don't want to
pass.
do more. You just want to do this exact amount because you are required to do that, and you don't have your own way to do more. And the way out of that is to apply
Is to stop learning and start living.
living.
Start living English.
Yeah.
Stop learning.
And your question, and start living English. And your
You
question
gotta
will
stop learning. That's important. And start living.
and your question will be, what is it like living English? What does it mean?
We don't know. But you,
Yeah, we know.
just,
we know what it
like,
means.
what is it? We don't know. It just sounds good. You should start living. Change your life.
Okay, guys. So living English means that you live your ordinary life. You do those things you just love to do, but you start doing them in English.
Exactly.
So I love, for example, I love watching TV series, and I do it every day. But I did it in Ukrainian language, my own language, and now I just started doing it in the English language. And it means that I started living English because I continue doing what I love to do, but I just had this small shift in languages. That's it.
Right. Yeah. And if you love watching YouTube, and you probably do because you're watching us on YouTube, maybe you're listening to us on other platforms. We still don't have them, but maybe in the future, maybe you're from the future and you're listening to that podcast on iTunes or whatever, and you love YouTube, you love podcasts. Why don't you go ahead and listen to the stuff you want to listen to, watch the stuff you want to watch, in the language you're learning, in the language you are acquiring, because you should not ever learn languages. You should always live.
Or acquire, at least.
Yeah, at least. But we still say that because it's stupid. I mean, this was pumped in our heads. It was like shoved in our heads for years, and we're like, okay,
learn.
Yeah, I'm gonna learn some English. Yeah, I should learn. I should pick on something. Yeah. That's so, God.
Okay, and when you start learning English, it's a surprise. It will be a surprise maybe for you, but your motivation is like rising, and you don't know, but you just want to wake up in the morning and do something for your English.
Yeah.
And to be motivated, it's really, really important. And this motivation stuff, some people think that motivation is really like this bullshit. You don't have to believe into motivation because motivation is not stable. But I think that motivation could be stable if you support it with the goal. And this goal should be real. It should be personal. It should be your own goal. And for example, I know that I started learning, but now I'm living English because I've had this goal in my mind that I wanted to open physical courses, and I knew at the time that it was really prestigious, and I could imagine myself being the owner of those courses, and my motivation was really supported by this goal. I'm absolutely sure that I would quit doing that if I was just relying on motivation. That's it. If my goal was really really universal, for example, I want to learn English because it's great. English is great. Or my friends know English, so I would love to know English too.
Yeah.
It's not a real goal. It's like some saying that you heard from, I don't know, your surrounding, and you think that it's your own personal goal. But you have to go deeper and find your true goal.
Exactly.
So my goal was to open physical courses, and it helped me to learn English and master it. And I know that Andrew's goal was different,
yes,
but it was a true goal as well.
Yeah.
So what was it?
Thanks for asking. My goal, I had two goals actually. So at first, I always, like at school, as I told you, I didn't have any success with English, and I was like, yeah, that's a weird language, you have so many exceptions and such a weird pronunciation, which I love now, but I didn't used to. But then when I entered the university, I realized that if I want to become a good software engineer, which I did not, because I quit the university, I dropped out, but I was like, God, I want to do my best. I want to become the best programmer I can, because I want to support myself, support my family. I want to help my parents out. I want to do stuff with money, because in Ukraine, programmers make 5 to 10 times more money than peasants. I'm just kidding. Than the regular people. And so I was like, I have to do this if I want to have a good career. So this was number one goal. It's a materialistic goal and career goal.
Okay.
And the second one was I got a chance to go to the US and to fly out on a program, student exchange program, where I could work at children camps and do stuff like summer camps, clean the kitchen, do all kind of kitchen work. But then I had 1 month to travel, so I really wanted to go, and I really wanted them to open my, to get my visa done, and to have the permit to go to the US. So that's why I had a deadline, and I started working on this goal. And this was, I think, the biggest accelerator, the biggest goal that helped me was my English.
Traveling,
yeah,
right?
and when I came to the US, actually, Americans were like, "Wow, you're so good at English. How'd you learn it?" And I was like, "I didn't learn it. I lived it." Okay, I didn't say that.
You didn't know
But
that.
I didn't know that rule because I just did it subconsciously.
Yeah.
But what I told them was like, I was just watching my favorite TV shows. I was just watching Friends
They were
and Modern
surprised,
Family.
really?
And they were like, "What?" You know what? They were like, "I spent 9 years, or I spent 5 years at high school or at school learning Spanish. I don't speak Spanish." I was like, "Yeah, that's right. I spent 8 years learning German at school. Me too. I did that." And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't speak German." Why? Because I was learning it. I was studying this language.
And I think it's a really important point here
Yeah.
about amount of time, like not like time but years. So we count years, and we think that our language level depends on years, like years put into that.
Exactly.
But we shouldn't count years. We
Big
should
mistake.
count time. And I know that Andrew is really good at counting time, and he
And money.
has like money too.
Just at counting. I used to be a programmer. I mean,
So when people ask us, for example, guys, could you tell me please how many years will I spend to acquire, for example, C1 level, proficiency level, or just intermediate level? Like, or months or
Yeah.
years, like this is the question. And how could we answer that if we don't know how much time daily this person spends on English?
exactly.
So we have to count our daily invested time.
Yeah.
Right?
True. Yeah.
So at least 1 hour per day. So
Yes.
it's like, it's living English. When you spend at least 1 hour per day, when you just concentrate on acquiring some knowledge, and you do it regularly, like, and you acquire this ability, this habit of doing that on a regular basis. And it's not learning, because learning was 3 times per week.
No, I'm just approaching to say something important.
Okay.
Exactly. It's not learning. It's living. When you do stuff you love. And we're going to talk about it after the ad break. We don't have ads yet. Okay, let's come back. So what is living, Ola? How do you differentiate?
I could sing as an ad. You know?
How would you differentiate? How would you tell the difference between living and studying?
Okay, so I can do that because I studied English for 12 years, and it's not really a great experience, but still it's experience and I appreciate it. But still, I could tell for sure that when you study English, you do some theoretical stuff, like
Lots of reading, right? Lots of reading exercise.
like reading exercises, learning grammar, learning vocabulary. It's all I call it theoretical part.
Grammar
because-
drills, right?
Yeah.
You did all of that.
So
kind
like
of
grammar,
stuff.
like some tables, grammar, some algorithm about grammar. It's like all learning by heart. You just learn it as a poem, for example. Like present simple is a tense, blah 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 blah. M is R, and so it's like
Present
some
simple, we are
Yeah, we have a
happy.
song about
Present tense, we
grammar
are dancing.
present perfect. We've been to London. Okay, and I think that it's studying and living. It's when you do something you really love, but in English. So I really love watching TV series, but I didn't do that past 12 years because I thought just some, I don't know, some entertainment. And when I was preparing for my lesson or just for passing a test, I was taking a test, not passing, because yes, I passed the test, but at the time I was just preparing for taking a test. So I just thought that watching something is like wasting of time, you know, because I will watch something when I acquired, like I reach the best of the best levels of English, and at that point I will allow myself to watch something, to communicate with people, because it's, you know, it's like the result of your efforts. But it's not true. it's something that has to be from the very beginning. So when you are at school, like when did you start learning English, by the way? Was it like at school or after?
When I was 19.
So
My second year. Well, actually, before when I was 18 and almost 19, my first year of college, I started really living English with audiobooks, with YouTube, with TV series. I was watching Friends, Modern Family, Desperate Housewives, even.
And I started learning English when I was 9 or even 8.
I also did, but I was studying English since I think starting at the age of 7 or 8, like something like that at school. But then, I mean, it was just like reading books. I don't know, learning some vocab, learning some stuff that they give you that you don't necessarily want to know. That's not interesting. I don't know, like the.
But you have to, because it's curriculum.
Yeah, like those little texts about London, Kyiv, about the capital of whatever country.
Yeah, but let's take you when you're conscious, when you can choose what you like.
Yeah,
absorb.
when I was 19, but basically, like my biggest progress was at the edge of 18 and 19, where I was like just breaking out of this mediocre level of English, low level of English, into the good, solid, conversational level.
And the point is, when I was at your age, like 19 or 18, and I could choose what I wanted to acquire, I was so into that habit that I couldn't change it by myself. I was like, I continued learning English because it was like this habit.
You didn't meet me yet. You had not met me.
Yeah.
At that point, it's fate. By the way, did I tell you that we had the same surname before getting married? I'm going to tell it on every episode.
Really.
So that everyone should know.
Okay.
Now, and we're not related. We're just married. We're not brothers and sisters or stuff. So
yeah, we're not close. We're just married.
I didn't even know anybody from her.
I didn't
family.
even know her. I'm just married to her.
No, I do know her, but I did not know you before and did not know anybody from your family before.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Now, the important thing I want to say is when I started living English, everything changed, and it really changed because this language became a big part of my life, just as it is now. It didn't stop when I was 19. I still listen to Joe Rogan podcasts. I listen to, Elon Musk interviews. I watch YouTube. I watch TV series. I do all kinds of stuff. I listen to audiobooks in English. And that's what I also did. But the important thing is, before that, I was watching TV series. I was watching YouTube. I was doing all that stuff in Ukrainian and occasionally in Russian. So the languages that I already knew. And the biggest thing you should know is that yourself or any of your students must not change their lives to acquire language. Like it's not like, oh, I need to study it. I need to allocate some specific time for this activity so I could acquire this language. Yeah, exactly. So it's like you don't have to have study time. You just need to, what's the word? It's like integrate. Yeah, you need to integrate the language in your life, make it a part of your life.
Yeah, sure.
And if you like watching TV series, watch TV series in that language. If you like YouTube, watch YouTube. Anything you like.
Yeah.
And if you love reading books, read books in the dedicated language.
I think that we can summarize this like everything we mentioned.
Yeah.
And the algorithm of living English is having 4 important parts of this process in your life. First of all, you have to understand the goal, the real goal, why you want to know and live this language. So before learning any language, you need to understand why this language and what is the goal, the purpose. It's not just because this language sounds good or your neighbors know that language. You won't be really satisfied like at the end, right? So I think that the goal should be really realistic, and like not materialistic, realistic, and materialistic maybe too. So for example, I want to study abroad, and that's why I need this, like I need to learn this language because this language is number one there. Or I just married that guy, I met this guy and he
What guy?
he speaks,
You just married.
okay, so he speaks English, and I just really want to have some relationship with him, so English is necessary for me. So it's goal, it's like you don't have this way out, and it's number one, realistic goal. Number two, motivation, but it will be like the result of this goal, really.
Yeah.
So deadline is really important. For example, I remember like the biggest progress I had was when I was preparing for some test, like IELTS or TOEFL or whatever, doesn't matter. So I just prepared for the test, and I remember I was so motivated because I have this deadline, and I can't say that I just didn't know language and then I knew language like after the test, but I could see the progress, like this jump, you know? And I think the deadlines are really good when you stuck and you want to see the progress again. So you can put some deadline. It could be some artificial deadline, like like you can imagine, or not imagine, but you can just set the deadline and start set the date of your test, and that will be your deadline. It's not like necessarily traveling or because it's harder, I think, sometimes. So goal, deadline, what else?
You need to understand that we always have two kinds of motivation. There's external motivation and internal motivation. And the external motivation is usually what people mean by motivation. But it's just the tip of the iceberg. It's just a really small part of your motivation. The external motivation is when, for example, we want to motivate you and tell you like, you should do it, you can do it, anybody can do it. This is the external motivation, like listen to Tony Robbins videos or anything like that is the external motivation. The internal motivation though, and also, by the way, setting deadlines is kind of an external motivation because it's like, I promise that I'm gonna do it, or I have this deadline that's hanging over me. So it's both, but it's in a big part an external motivation. And the internal motivation is something that comes from within, obviously. And this means that your goals, those are your internal motivation. You're like, yes, this is important to me. I want to do this. And also the feeling of progress. So this feeling of progressing is one of the best feelings in the world. And you can only get it when you have the adequate amount of stress and challenge, whatever you're doing. So in languages, when you, for example, let's say you're a beginner and you start watching movies, it's not going to work because you're just like, well, you don't understand anything except for names maybe of people, but that's it. And the good way of starting would be to listening to your favorite songs in that language that you can translate. Just listen over and over, hundreds of times. So this is the adequate amount of stress and challenge for you. And that's where the feeling of progress comes from. So you don't need to do huge jumps, but you always need to have this feeling that, I'm like, I can see my growth, and that's huge. It's so important that you have that. And that's where I think the biggest part of internal motivation comes from, because it's this daily motivation. It's not something like the future vision of anything. You're like, I'm gonna, when I speak English, when I finally reach the fluency level, I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm gonna become the king of the world. I'm gonna travel around. I'm gonna be rich. But that's in the future. But at the moment, though, you're usually motivated by stuff like this growth, this amazing feeling of progress.
And this amazing feeling of progress comes when you do it regularly. So regularity is really important. We usually just recommend doing something in small parts but regularly. So you don't have, for example, you start learning any foreign language and you are so motivated, and the first day you just start watching something for 4 hours and reading and speaking and writing, and it's like all day long you're doing this. So like one day, 2 days, 3 days, and then that's it. So you have this burnout, you don't want to do anything. Why? Because you were so enthusiastic and you just, I don't know, you just throw your enthusiasm away. It's like, I think that you have to do in small portions and regularly. So at least 30 days when this habit appears, and you shouldn't stop your ordinary life. It means that everything should be the same. Like nothing changes.
Yeah.
What changes, like you start doing something in foreign language, that's it. But when you just, when you stop communicating with your family, like you stop calling your boyfriend because you are learning English.
But that's also not bad.
In some time, it will I don't know, it will play bad with you.
Yes, I agree, 100%. But don't you think there are two kinds of people? There are obsessive people and people who love stability and like being...
Yeah, sure. So we can say something like when you're obsessive, and we have obsessive students, we can
like
be those people like who can just tell what happened with us because it happened with me. I'm really obsessive, and I understood that it's not really good. So I would recommend something different. So I can't say that this person and I'm not saying this person should follow all my advice. It's not that. I just mean that if I can do this, I will just advise that. That's it.
Yeah, but it's so difficult for me, for example, to not go all the way into something if I feel passionate about it. And I don't know if it's a bad thing, actually. So usually it's a bad thing because most of the people would be just motivated. They're not obsessed. They're just really motivated, and then the motivation goes away. It wears off. And
but if you have a really great goal, it won't go away. So think about that.
So you should have all kinds of motivation, internal, external, deadlines, goals, everything.
And don't forget about repetition. So it's really important when you learn foreign language is you have to repeat what you've acquired. So again, we usually repeat, don't learn English, live English, because we know how important it is. And you remember that really great teachers repeated everything like twice, 3 times, 4 times, and you were really annoyed at that time because of that. Like how many times is she going to do that? But it was the reason you remembered that. And if you don't have those teachers right now, you have to do it by yourself. So please repeat everything, like at least twice. If you learn a new word, repeat it. Just try to use it in your conversation. And in this way, you will break a language barrier. I think repetition and speaking, communicating is that way that helps everyone to break a language in any foreign language. So a barrier, I mean.
Sure. But not just repeating, as you said. You just said that you should use it. And some people think when you say repeating, some people think maybe I should go and loop a word like, I don't know, any word like a microphone, but it's not working. It's useless to do that. What you should really do is try and write it down. That's much better, but it's easy. The harder way would be to use it in a conversation or a texting conversation. When you're texting with somebody, you can use it. We highly recommend you always communicating in the language you're starting to acquire, or try and speak with people. This is the best way, the hardest way though, but it's by far the best way for you to really remember stuff, for you to really acquiring means making it yours. It comes from Latin, I guess, and it means making something yours. And this is when this magic happens, when you get a phrase or a word and you use them.
Yeah.
You use them, you say them a few times. You might forget them, but there's a big chance you're going to forget them. But when you repeat them, when you say them, when you text them, you're not going to forget them.
Yeah, and I've heard recently, like, if something is still in your head, but you haven't used your mouth to produce it, you can just forget about it. It will be like in your head, and you will forget it in some time. So saying something means that you will remember it for longer, forever, right?
And ever. Okay. Thank you so much, guys. We were really... Did we forget anything?
No, I think it was like repetition, the last...
Yes.
The last
Let us
point.
repeat our slogan.
Yeah.
Don't learn English.
Live English.
Don't learn English.
Live English.
Do not learn English.
You can say do not learn a foreign language, but live
a foreign language. Stop learning a foreign language. Start living a foreign language. Start living a life. Change. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. This is Ola.
This is Andrew.
And see you in the next